Hi guys, welcome to today's session. In today's session, we'll be talking about in detail about gerunds and infinitives. So basically speaking about gerunds and infinitives, we can say that these are verb forms that act as nouns in a sentence, allowing us to express various actions and activities. And also the very importance of talking about gerunds and infinitives is that only if we understand the correct usage of gerunds and infinitives, we will be able to create a meaningful sentence in English. So that it is very crucial that we understand what is the distinction between the formation of gerunds and infinitives and also the usage of gerunds and infinitives. So now let's take a look at gerunds in detail. So the basic definition or how a gerund is formed is by adding an ing to the base form of the verb. So suppose we have a verb like read. We add ing to the base form and it becomes reading. So it creates a gerund. So basically speaking, when we add gerunds are formed by adding ing to the base form of a verb. Talking about the usage of gerunds, we can say that gerunds function as a subject, object, or complement in a given sentence. For example, let's take a look at this particular sentence. It says, I enjoy swimming. So here the gerund is swimming. We added ing to the base form of the verb, right? So if we take a look at the function of this particular gerund swimming, we can observe that it functions as an object in this given sentence. So basically speaking, gerunds can function as subjects, objects, or complements in a given sentence. Now let's take a look at what infinitives are. So in the case of gerunds, we actually added ing to the base form of the verb. But here, in the case of infinitives, here the verb is preceded by to. So if you have a verb such as write, so in the beginning we add to, so it becomes to write. Similarly, if we have a verb like dance, we add to in the beginning, it becomes to dance. So basically speaking, infinitives are formed by adding to the base form of the verb. And talking about the usage of infinitives, we can see that infinitives are used after certain verbs, adjectives, and nouns. So if we take a look at this particular sentence, it says she decided to travel. So here the infinitive is to travel. And this particular infinitive is used after the verb decided. So basically talking about the distinction between gerunds and infinitives, we can see that when we add ing to the base form of the verb, it becomes a gerund. In the case of infinitives, it is preceded by adding to the base form of the verb. So such as to write, to dance, etc. So now we have talked about the distinction between gerunds and infinitives. We could discuss how to avoid errors while using it. So one common mistake when we use gerunds is that we actually use it incorrectly after certain verbs, such as if I say I enjoy to swim, it doesn't make a sense, right? It should be I enjoy swimming. Similarly, so verbs such as enjoy, hate, love are actually followed by gerunds. So we actually use generally gerunds to express activities that are enjoyable. Similarly, if we are talking about actions of admitting or denying, here also we actually use gerunds rather than infinitives. But in the case of a planned action or a necessary action, in that case, we actually use infinitives. Such as if I write a sentence like, he needs, finishing, project by tomorrow. So in the case of this particular sentence, we can say that this particular usage is wrong. We are here talking about a planned action. So in this particular case, we need to use, instead of using gerund, we need to use he needs to finish. So these are the one of the common errors that we use in the case of gerunds and infinitives. So keep this in mind. Also, another major error people commit is the confusion between gerunds with participles. So when we talk about present participle, in the case of present participle also, we actually add ing to the base form of the verb to create a present participle. But gerunds and present participle are different. Even though they look similar, these are different. These are different in the functions. So we can say that in the case of gerunds, it is actually used as nouns. But in the case of present participle, these are actually verb modifiers. So take a look at this particular sentence. It says, I am interested in cooking. So here the gerund is cooking. So here it is used as a noun. But take a look at this particular sentence. It says, the cooking chef is skilled. So here the gerund is cooking. So here we actually use present participle. It is a verb modifier. So we never should confuse gerunds with present participle. So these two differ in their functions. So keep that also in mind. Now, moving on to some tips about gerunds and infinitives. So like I mentioned before, we should memorize some of the common usages of verbs. So then only we'll be able to use gerunds and infinitives. So for that, we have to practice and use them in sentences to reinforce the correct usage. Also, always the context matters. So we need to always pay attention to the context of a given sentence. So there are some instances where we can use both gerunds and infinitives, but in those cases, the meaning changes. So for example, if I create a sentence like, I remember seeing that movie. So here we are talking about a past experience, but also we can create a sentence similar to that, like, I remember to see the movie. So here, but the meaning is to remind something to do in future. So keep that in mind. So basically, the context always matters in a given sentence. So with that, we have come to the end of gerunds and infinitives. I hope it is clear for you. Thank you, guys.